Hello again, and welcome everybody to another edition of the podcast, The Ugly Truth about SHTF. I am your host, the Rural 2IC, and I do want to mention though that some of you are seeing this early because you have paid the 99 cents to join the members. To where one of the features is you get to watch all of my Saturday stuff the very minute I post it, well, everybody else has to wait a week or maybe longer on wait until it drops for the public. So, just wanted to throw that out there. But what are we going to talk about today? Because we want to go back to our roots and talk about those uncomfortable and difficult things that need to be discussed for SHTF. But before we do that, let's go ahead and roll that intro. That's right. We're going to go old school with the intro music. And there you go. So, what are we talking about today? Well, we're going to talk about how do we want to put this? The confrontation situation. Let's go with that. It's got a nice, catchy ring to it, right? Basically, what I'm saying is about difficult situations, confrontations, whatever they're going to be. And we're going to kind of break them down. Now, most of you, if you have watched me for some time, who knows which direction this is going to go into. For the rest of you, buckle up, grab something to snack on and a drink, get comfy, because this is going to be one of those all over the place videos. So, when we start talking about difficult interactions, difficult situations, so one of the first things is going to be the verbal, right? Somebody is, for whatever reason, they are verbally upset. And one of the first things, at least in my saying, is who is it to, right? Who's this person directing it to? Is it to me? Is it to somebody else? Is it somebody that I know or some a perfect stranger or something, right? We're gathering intel. Secondly, do I know the person that is trying to verbally, just spew out nonsense or whatever? Is it a stranger? Is it somebody that I know? Is it friend? Is it family? Is it coworker? Whatever. Three, what's my setting? Are we in a bad area of town late at night outside of a bar? All that. You have to fill in the blanks on all this. Are we um, wherever, you're at a family gathering, insert situation here. We need to gather in, who's the players involved, what's our surrounding, and then kind of give it a second to listen. What is this even involving, right? Is this because somebody accidentally bumped into somebody else and somebody, maybe they're just having a bad day, and you or somebody else is just the unfortunate victim of, getting a verbal assault? Or is it something more than that, right? Maybe it is something of, hey, you just picked my pocket or whatever. It's one of those. Now, uh, one of the things for me, and this is where these kind of things get into, we can sometimes go through and see if this is just verbal. There's a lot of people that they don't want any physical part. They just want to verbally get their frustrations out. They want to dominate. It's kind of that big dog effect. They would just want to puff their chest and stand over and just growl and bark as loud as they can. Sometimes it's what's needed, right? Each situation is going to be unique. I mean, for me personally, I've had it to where a really, really good friend just needed to vent, right? They knew that I was going to handle the situation correctly, and they just needed to spout off and get that out. It's not really directed at me. They just need somebody to listen to and somebody to point their finger as they just turn red and whatever. Some people are built like that, right? Um, and there's a lot of different things when it comes to the verbal side of confrontation. And it gets very, very difficult because we don't sometimes know all the variables, right? Especially if we're just out and about and it's two complete perfect strangers. One's making an accusation, the other one's denying it. What do, right? Uh, there's all sorts of different things to where uh, you don't really want to pick a side. Um, But then again, it's kind of that right moral obligation to at least do what you can to de-escalate the situation, right? Let's dial it back. All right. I see you're upset. I see maybe the other person's upset because you can have two people verbally get angry. And it's one of those that there's always going to be the anger person. There's always going to be the person that's yelling and shouting and screaming and all that fun stuff. But the other person's either going to stand there, they're going to try and walk away, or they're going to stand their ground, right? It's that whole situation on what your response is. Are you flight, fight, or freeze? And people are going to deal with uncomfortable situations the same exact way. The only thing for me, and I do want to kind of caveat into this, is even if it's perfect strangers, right? Absolute perfect strangers. You don't know who these two people that are involved in this verbal onslaught. When did we stop helping other people? When did we get it to where, we just, I don't want to be involved. I get it. We're in the day of cancel culture. We are in the day of getting followed and stalked and harassed and, even the day of being sued, just because, uh, you put your hand on somebody to try and de-escalate the situation. Um, for whatever reason, we just became cowards, right? Well, when did we become cowards? When did we stop doing the right thing? Because let me put a situation to you and you tell me what you think of it. You see some young 18, 19-year old kind of muscled up boy, and he is yelling at some 80-year old, woman, and that woman is trying to slowly back away and whatever, and he is just cursing and screaming and just uh you know thumping his chest and all that. Would you walk by? Whoa, this isn't my fight. Sorry, grandma, I'm out. Maybe you'll go tell a manager if you're at a store. Maybe you'll call the police or whatever, but you're not stepping up. You're not getting in there. But here's the thing: what happens if that's my grandma? Right? You've never met her. What happens if you could have done something, right? What happens if you, after the situation, learn that verbal turned physical, and grandma gets unluckily landed into the hospital, and when something goes through and transpires, and I tell you, oh man, my grandma's in the hospital and all that, and you're like, oh, that sucks, man. I'm sorry. I'll come down there, and be with you, and you show up and you lay eyes on grandma and you're like, that's the person I watched get into an altercation. Are you going to look me in the eye going, I could have done something, but I didn't, right? For whatever reason, we went through and we stopped being the moral people years ago, right? And it might be decades, who knows when it all kind of transpired, but years ago, we stepped in, right? We protected those. That's kind of the whole baseline of being morally just and morally sound, is that we had a moral obligation to those, to defend those, to step in and help those that couldn't defend themselves. And for whatever reason, we stopped doing that. Um, I don't know where things gone, but okay, let's go back. So when we are talking about these uncomfortable situations, you're going to have the same effect. What are you going to do? Are you going to run away from it? Are you going to flee the scene? Are you going to freeze and just stand there watching it, not knowing what to do? Or are you going to step in and intervene and do what you can to de-escalate the situation? Because we're talking right now, basically, if something was to happen as soon as you turn this video off, or when you go grocery shopping later, or whatever, right? Uh, those are relative times a piece. What happens if this happens during SHTF, right? The balloon has gone up, you're with your friends, family, mag, whatever, and all of a sudden, two people get into an argument. What are you going to do about it, right? Is it different on what you're going to do then, on what you're going to do now? Why? Why is it different? We have that moral obligation on both. Is it because more is riding on after SHTF than before? What is your reasoning to it? But if it goes to after SHTF, how are you going to handle the situation? Are you going to run away? Right? Oh, I'm out of here. Nope, not getting involved in this one. Are you going to run and go tell somebody else? Hey, Bob and Joe is fighting again. You better get over there. Some of it, that's not a bad idea, right? You have to assess yourself. It again goes back, and I don't know why I keep going back. It just irks the heck out of me, if you will. Uh, you know, if you look at the demographics of my channel, there is quite a few people that are elderly. Okay, and you got to think of it. You watching this video, uh, in your physical condition, if there was somebody bigger and stronger screaming and cursing in your face, what do you want other people to do? Do you want somebody like me coming and stepping in between and going, "No, not today, not on my watch"? Or do you want somebody else that's going to just walk on by, turn a blind eye, or just stand there with their cell phone out, right? Um, there's a lot of people that are not fighters, right? There's a lot of people that are elderly or sick or injured or whatever, and they don't have the ability to go through and do a physical altercation. And I get it. I know I'll get the comments, whoa, they should have a firearm, or they should have okay, I get it, it's valid, I fully get it. But what I'm saying on all this is, let's dial it back for just a moment. So we have the verbal stuff, right? How versed are you to handle a verbal altercation, right? Can you read body language? Can you listen? Can you assess on the fly while things are going, right? We don't know if this is going to turn physical. There's all this yelling, all this cursing, all this screaming, all this peacocking of the feathers way up here. What are we going to do? Can we use our words and de-escalate the situation? Because that's one of the best ways, at least in my opinion, the best ways to handle it. Have you gone through training? Have you been in those situations to where you've had to step in and verbally de-escalate the situation? Do you know how to handle it? Do you know what questions to ask? Do you know uh, the right things to do and say, and the wrong things to do to say? Because there's things that you can do with the best of intentions, and because of being unskilled or untrained, you can make the situation exponentially worse. So we've got to be careful, and we don't want to step beyond our own skill level. Maybe you are honest with yourself and you go, nope, I'm a hothead. I have a short fuse, and I could try and step in there, but if this thug wants to come and start getting in my face, then I'm throwing hands. Okay. We're trying to avoid that. I get it, right? So, do you have somebody in your mag that is going to be that person? Maybe the running away is the right thing to do. Maybe it's to go get that person that is really good. Maybe they are a professional at it, right? Maybe they are a professional counselor, or somebody that has military or law enforcement training to de-escalate and negotiate different things. Um, there's a lot to before, during, and after a verbal conflict on how appropriate all this is. A lot of time there's warning signs. Okay, we're talking a little bit about before. Sometimes something goes on, and we can kind of visually go, "Uh oh," or auditorily we can listen and go, yeah, this isn't going to go well, right? And maybe we can prepare for it. Maybe we can step in and go, whoa, hey Bob, let's go over here. Let me buy you a coffee, or let's take a little bit of a walk. Maybe it's grabbing the other person. Maybe they did something without knowing it, and we go, whoa, man, you need to apologize quick, right? Maybe we can stop the verbal argument before it even starts. Then there's the after. Okay, maybe we got in there and we de-escalated the situation. Do we know if it's fully done? Is it done right there, or is it just a break? Is it a pause in the action? We need to really, once we get everybody kind of separated and a little bit cooler and calmer, what happened? What was this all about? Are you okay? You know, uh, we need to try and discuss. There's a lot when it comes to most of these situations. Words is the best weapons, right? We don't need to pull out a firearm. We don't need to pull out a baseball bat. We don't need to clench our fists. Words can do wonders, right? And I think that a lot of people just glaze over that. Now, what happens if it turns physical, right? Maybe you was going to be that person and you was going to go, nope, rural, I'm going to step right in, right? I'm going to help grandma and all that. Well, when things start flying, what does that make you do? Okay, now everything has shifted. We are no longer at just words. Now we're actual at physical confrontation. What are you going to do? Are you now into stepping in and it turns physical and now it is fleeing? Is it stepping in when it was verbal, but now it is freezing when it turns physical? Or are you going to go, whoa, you threw hands? I'm throwing hands, right? When dynamics of a situation shift, our reaction shifts a lot of the times. And so when things turn physical, what are we going to do about it, right? Uh, and I know it's going to be different on every different situation. And you're going to have to insert different scenarios. This is one of the things of sitting down with your mag or your family and throwing out some scenarios, right? And get some of the like the older kids involved. If you got kids in high school and you're like, "Hey, little Jimmy, come up and pushed you," and started shouting at you, what are you going to do about it? Okay. And you're going to have to come up with your own rules. It's going to be whether it's right or wrong in your eyes, because we're all different. What's right and wrong for me and what I'm going to tell my son or, Mrs. Rural or my tribe is going to be different than yours. And for me to sit here and tell you what I do, I don't want to do too much of an influence when it comes to that stuff because everything has a consequence. Whether you freeze and you watch the fight, whether you run away from the fight, or whether you engage in the fight, all of them have their own unique consequences on what's going to happen when the dust settles. And as long as you are okay paying the price, good and bad, okay, right? For me, I know what I want out of it and my expectations, and that's how I gear everything towards it, right? So what I'm going to tell, Mrs. Rural to do if something breaks out at the store, or my son to do whether something breaks out at the school, what their reactions should be if they are out at the store together, or what their reaction should be if I'm there. I need them to have muscle memory. I need them to know that if something happens, I need A, B, and C done because this is what I'm going to do. This is my plan. And if you're with me, I need you to be involved in the plan because if I am going left towards it, I don't want you to follow, right? I don't want to have to worry about what's behind me and in front of me. I need to, have you exfil, or I need you to find cover, or I need, X, Y, and Z. So these are actual conversations that need to be had with your mag, your tribe, your group, your friends, your family, your coworkers, and things like that. If there is going to be difficult situations and we have to face it, we are human, we have emotions. All of us, every single one of you watching this, you have been angry, you have been happy, you have been sad, you have been frustrated, you've been stressed out, uh, all the things, right? We have a huge gambit of emotions and we all feel them, sometimes more than others, right? Hopefully, each one of you are chasing happiness. You want to be as happy and feel that pleasure response as much as possible. Uh, Most people, sadly, they're not chasing happiness anymore. They're chasing contentment. They want to be content. That's it, right? They just want to be comfortable. Uh, Happiness is that one thing that you get one weekend out of the year if you're really lucky. Why can't I make my own happiness, right? And I think that if more people tried, chasing that happiness, that we would have hopefully less angry people and less confrontations, and we wouldn't have to talk about this as much or deal with this as much. But It's unfortunate, and that's kind of the sad, ugly truth about all this. So, if we are going to get into kind of the meat of this, so let me give you a scenario, and if you want, you can pause this and talk it over, come up with an answer, and then come back. So let's say SHTF happened, right? And uh, everything's going, days going, people are doing their jobs. You're kind of walking around, doing some supervisory stuff, whatever. And all of a sudden, here comes Bob and here comes Bill, and they are going at it. They are screaming at each other. They're shoving each other. They're doing that whole little walking in circle that, for whatever reason, weird dudes do when they fight. And everybody kind of runs over and kind of circles around and whatever. What are you going to do about it, right? Are you going to jump in the mix and try and separate? Now, this is going to be different, right? If we have people that are 60 plus years old and weigh 100 pounds and whatever. And we have people that watch that are in their mid 20s and can bench press 300 pounds. Each one of you is going to have a different answer, and it's not going to be right or wrong because this is a scenario, right? So, what are you going to do about it? Okay. Now, if you have paused it and now we're coming back to here, maybe what we're doing is we're watching. And while we're watching and trying to figure out, because things haven't transpired too much into the intensity of full-fledged, landing punches and kicks and whatnot, we're listening. And this is over somebody's wife cheated, right? So somebody is accusing, the other one's denying. What are you going to do, right? You're not going to figure out the answer right then and there. It's not going to happen, okay? Unless the woman that this is all over runs out and suddenly confesses the truth or picks one side or the other. um, we're gonna have to de-escalate. We're just gonna have to get everybody separated. If we can, then that's great. If we don't get there quick enough and it turns physical, what are we going to do? Are we going to start punching and kicking members of our own mag? What are we going to do to try and break up a physical altercation? We don't want to have it to where we have unnecessary injuries and things like that. Medical supplies after SHTF is not going to be as abundant and easily obtainable. You're not going to just be like, "Ah, you guys punch each other again, man. We're getting low on gauze. Somebody run down to the Dollar General or whatever and grab some more." Yeah, it's not going to happen, right? So we don't want to be doing dumb things that require medical attention and medical supplies. Not to mention, these are distractions. Okay. When something happens and two people get into an argument and everybody comes over and they're watching and doing and whatever else, who's doing the work, right? Who's watching the kids? Who's watching the animals? Who's taking care of the crops? Who's doing security on the perimeter? Who's trying to sleep? Now, this whole commotion that just went through and transpired, now everybody's not doing their job, right? It's just, it's one of those things. So, we want to try and avoid these as much as possible. Now, let's just go through and let's say that she comes out and she admits, yep, I cheated, right? And she starts yelling at her husband or whatever. Okay. What are we going to do about it, right? Because somebody's got to make the decision, whether you're the leader or whether you're on the council that's going to make the decisions. Guess what? Somebody's not going to be happy with your decision. And it may be more than just one somebody, right? Okay, let's take the cheating guy and the cheating girl and let's banish them. Okay, well, they have friends and others that's going to be in the group, maybe even family that's going to be in the group, and they're going to probably defend them. Look, she made a dumb mistake. It's not a thing to, or it's not fair to issue her a death sentence and make her wander around the zombie apocalypse. Right now, you're going to have other people that's going to be upset. What are you going to do? Look, if you're going to be upset, then you can go right along with them. Okay, so now what? Are we tearing our group in half? Right? Okay, now you got the other guy. Does he really want to walk around and look at everybody in the face? And they all know, or how is he going to emotionally take this? Is he going to start becoming confrontational? Everybody's staring at me. I'm being judged all the time. Things like that. They're usually, especially in a small group environment, once you get one confrontation, they usually bleed into multiple confrontations. Usually it's a trickle out effect. Uh, Once you get the main thing done, if we don't squash it and take care of it fully and immediately, then you start getting little pop ups. Somebody's defending somebody else. Somebody had a disagreement, and it goes through and it breeds other confrontations, and it sets the standard on what we're going to do. How did they deal with this? These two guys went blow for blow, punching each other in the face, and all they did was got separated. And hey, don't do that again. Okay, I don't like Jim, or Sally doesn't like Jane. If that's all the punishment's going to be, I'm going to go do the same thing, right? And then you may have a bunch of confrontations all over the place. Uh, Dealing with difficult interactions and situations is definitely something that I think we need to go through and have these discussions and think about and talk about. Being human, having all the different emotions that we have, and the way that we analyze and jump to conclusions all the time, right? Um, a lot of times, the argument or the fight or whatever was over a just a thought, right? I saw Jim and Sally walk out the door together from the pantry, and they were smiling and giggling or whatever. So I'm just going to jump to conclusions that they were in there doing something bad, and I'm going to start an altercation and uh, you know uh, heavily injure people and cause this whole big split and everything. And all it was one was in there and the other one popped in there, and something fell when they opened the door. It made the other person jump, and they both thought it was funny, and they come out giggling. Nothing happened. And instead of going over there and going, hey, what's going on, guys? What's so funny? And them explain the situation, and then nothing happens. That's where we just went through and we talked. Sometimes we need to see things before they begin. We need to be observant and try and be proactive on trying to prevent any of these to go through. That's why having an open door policy, that's why going around and having somebody in your group that is some sort of like a counselor or therapist, or somebody that has a good mind and the ability to listen and process information, and give them the task. You need to go around and make sure everybody's okay. Give them that space that if something's going on, that it's not just slowly building. And I'm sorry, I'm going to pick on you guys. We as men, we have this notion: suck it up, buttercup, bury it deep down inside, rub some dirt in it, walk it off, and get on with life. In an SHTF situation, if we do that, that can be extremely dangerous. It's okay to talk about your feelings. It's okay to admit, man, that dude made me mad, right? It's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to admit jealousy, right? We're human, okay? Things pop in your head. Something happens and you catches your eye, and somebody goes, why did you look over there? Don't do that. Okay. It's a reaction, right? Or something happens and a thought pops in your head. Okay, right? It's a thought. Our thing is actions, right? I can sit there and, somebody can say something and I can have all the thoughts in my head that I want. It's what comes out of that. Do I just brush it off because I just needed to have that internal argument with myself? Or is that going to turn into a verbal or physical confrontation? And so sometimes having that outlet, right? Having that person that we can just go and vent to and talk and clear things out of our system. Sometimes that's a good thing, right? But people are different. Sometimes people need somebody to vent to. Sometimes people just need to go out into the trees and pick up a stick and start bashing things. Some people need to exercise. People have their own different ways of venting and getting frustrations out, and we have to get to know our people, right? If we're going to go through SHTF, yeah, I want to know who you are. I want to know your skill level. I want to know what attributes you have, and the different things that you're going to provide and offer and things like that. And then I want to know your morality, right? Do we stand on certain things and kind of have that same wavelength on where we stand on a moral level and a just level and things like that. But I also want to know more into how you deal with the difficult situation, right? I want to know what it is that you would do into somebody doing something or saying something. Are you just going to fly off the handle? How are you going to deal with a difficult situation if you're watching somebody come up and scream right into your kid's face, right? A lot of the situation changes and the dynamic of it and our response of it changes depending on what the situation is. And so for me, I also want to know how people tick on when I get together with maybe a new person that might be a potential member of a mag. What do you do when you're frustrated? How do you get over that? Are you one that you need to talk it out? Are you one that you need to physically get it out? Can you manage yourself? Do you know how to go and ask for help? Do you know how to accept help? Right. And I tell you right now, I have turned down really skilled people, really, uh, you know, a huge asset. They would have been somebody that would have been a master in their field and things like that, but they're uh, too much. How do I want to put this? They're too stuck in where they are and how they do it. And theirs is, I'll put them in the situation. You're doing something and you hear verbal confrontation. You turn around and there is some guy screaming at your wife, and he goes, "I'm going to go over there and knock his block off." Okay, nice talk. Have a great day. Right? I don't have time for that. Can I get that person to change? Yeah, there's a possibility. But if that's your first instinct to tell me that, no. All right. I'm not saying you shouldn't stand up for your wife. You shouldn't stand up for your kid. You absolutely should. 100%. Somebody screams at my kid, you better believe I'm going to be right there in 2 seconds. But I don't turn to physical altercation until that is what the situation calls for, right? I need to get in there. I need to figure out what happened. So many people are quick to go and step in and fight for somebody that they love and care about without knowing all the facts, right? I'm not saying that a child deserves to be screamed at, but both can be in the wrong. When we're talking about verbal altercations, you could have had it to where the kid took a slingshot and slingshotted a rock over and hit somebody in the back or whatever. So the kid's in the wrong, and then the person that they hit, they're going to handle it wrong. They're going to go over there and shove the kid to the ground and start screaming at him. I don't know all the facts. All I need to do is get over there and separate as quickly as possible and go, what in the world happened? And I'll deal with it. Both people can be wrong. It doesn't have to be one's right, one's wrong. Technically, you can have situations where both are correct. People are going to have different opinions and they're going to deal with things in different situations. And people are of a different level of passion and people have different lines in the sand. And for us, okay, dealing with people and dealing with a group and dealing with all this, it's kind of our job to go through and fill that pie out. When we are talking to people, we need to do the good and the beneficial and the things that we can train, right? Sometimes they're not quite where we want them to be, but we see potential in them and all that. We need to start filling that pie up, but we also need to get to the ugly part. Nobody is perfect, right? You're not having Jesus Christ into your mag. Everybody's got flaws. And with those flaws come confrontations. And we need to first figure out what those and identify what those flaws are. And two, can we manage them, right? Or what are we going to do about those flaws? It's definitely something that we need to talk about a lot more. And maybe we'll invite some guests on that are a lot more skilled and knowledge in this field, right? That this is their field of expertise. So, but I've taken up enough of your time. Maybe we'll have a part 2, 3. Who knows? Let me know down in the comment section. But with that, I thank you so much for joining me. And as always, you could have been doing anything else, but you chose to come here and watch this video. So thank you so much for that. With that, I hope you guys have an amazing day, a blessed day. Stay tuned because there's more information to come with that. Remain united because we're all prepping in this together.